It was really funny because I was talking to Rotterdam, and he was saying, man, if I win MLG, I don't think I'll ever come back to NASL. And we're like, why? He's like, I think I'm gonna die from partying too hard afterwards. I was like, oh, typical Roddy. He's so funny. And so let's introduce our players. Starting from the bottom right, we have TLO Dario Wunsch from Team Liquid, the man of many races and faces, as many ways people would say.
Oh, he lost his beard. I'm so sad.
Yeah, but you're sad. I think it's great. I love the clean, distinguished, chic look.
Yeah, but he doesn't look like a manly man.
Rain is not necessarily a manly man, but when it comes to winning, he does what it takes, and that's all you can ask of a man. He is the blue Terran in the top left from Team Fnatic, using one of his older accounts, Because of You Pro S. Now, that's actually a Korean clan. I remember a lot of people used to play in that clan. It was just one of those, it was actually considered a feeder clan in Korea. Like, they wasn't a top team, like at the time, TSL, OGS, Wera, I'm going throwback. And then Pro S had a lot of Koreans that would like eventually move on to those big teams with team houses, and so it was one of those transitionary teams. And so Rain really picking up from his roots. You see that it is Odyssey, and we have seen a lot of ZVT with TLO actually on Odyssey. And he did go for a mass zergling style. I wonder if he's going to do that again on Odyssey.
Yeah, he's been really favoring that. I think it's a really good style. One thing I would change up probably is to add banelings, now that creep spread is a lot more relevant on this map, or in maps in general. There's been, just to let you guys know, since the patch changed, at the competitive level, there's been this really, really tough stage where it's so hard to stop creep spread in the initial phases. Normally you had those Hellions that could obviously snipe out anything, but now since queens are so accessible, they can defend against everything. People are starting to get more queens faster instead of relying on zerglings, and that enables a creep spread, which obviously enables ground units to be much stronger. So you can get around. Banelings in particular can connect a lot easier. Zerglings and roaches can counterattack and backstab a lot easier. So all these different options are really nice for zergs. And Terrans have really been trying hard to find a way to limit that creep spread as much as possible. But I still feel like it's this transitionary period where we're all still, I'm going to include myself, we're all still looking for that way to systematically take out creep and make sure it just doesn't get out of hand come that 10-11 minute mark.
I feel the same way, just it's really tough sometimes to figure out that mid game, especially how you want to approach it, especially now that Zerg's defensive options are a lot stronger with multiple queens, just like you were saying, Andre. Now, I want to bring up some interesting things that that Zeris has pointed out to us before the cast. As you can see, the SCV is taken out immediately. TLO and Vibe are tied at exactly 2 and 3 at -1 points. We saw Vibe drop 0-2, so now he's at -3. If TLO wins one game, then he's ahead of Vibe, which is really important because now we're getting to the point of season where not necessarily you're worried about making playoffs or wild cards. You're worried about staying in for next season.
Yes.
And so if TLO and Vibe, you know, they kind of switching up and down. If TLO loses 0-2, he's tied with Vibe again. But if not, he takes the lead over Vibe and is able to have a better chance of staying in NASL. So every game matters from this series as well, both for Rain and TLO.
That being said, I mean, they're going to be trying as hard as possible to obviously win these games because there's a lot more on the line than just winning $150. Obviously, $150 is awesome, but just to stay in the North American Star League and make sure that you have a hold on that, you don't want to miss out. Obviously, NASL is getting much better. It's evolved. It's evolved, as you guys might know, going into Week 7. Now, let's go ahead and look at the builds. It is Command Center. Gas's command center into a third command center as well. He cut Gas to get his Hellions out and his command center out efficiently. Those SCVs were allocated towards minerals. In TLO's side, he did do delayed gas, so that's why we don't even have metabolic boost yet. There it goes right now. And a third hatchery is going to be a macro hatchery. Now, the recent style has been to actually put it down here at the third base. There have been people that have been hard countering a lot more often because of that. So that's why we see him actually going for that macro hatchery and playing a little bit safer. There's the double evolution chamber. So exactly what you said, Frodan, it is going to be that mass circling style.
At the same time, Rain is playing pretty run-of-the-mill TVZ as well. He's just getting a couple of Hellions, just 4. Not trying to overcommit, but really switch over to Marine Tank pretty fast. You can see that he's getting a couple more barracks as a result. Now comes the time, a point where Reigns really wants to deny creep tumors and try to deny a 3rd attempt. But TLO is also one of the best creep spreaders in the entire game. Look at that, canceling both of his tumors to make sure he can preserve them later. And TLO has been resilient in covering the entire map with purple. And Rain really has to be cautious as his Hellions came out pretty late, and you can see the creeps already at the 3rd.
Oh my god, I mean, this is so characteristic of TLO. I mean, when you think TLO, you always think creep spread as well. His first Zerglings will start to get a little bit of room out on the map. What they're trying to do is just create room for those creep tumors to push out even further. The other way you can do it is just wherever the Hellions are not, you spread them, but obviously that's still a little bit slower. Still, I mean, TLO, with this creep spread, this enables him to do so much because now pushes come a lot slower.
Oh, man.
Right? He can't just be like, oh, handy dandy, I'm going to walk on creep. No, you can't do that. You have to kill the creep tumors before you actually keep going forward. And then you have to wait until the creep recedes. That's another minute you have to add on. So a little bit tough. A lot of bit tough. Very tough for Terrence.
Are you done grading how tough it'll be?
Yes.
I can imagine at Home Depot, there's different grades of how tough nails are. It's like Gretorp's rating of tough. Very tough, kind of tough, very tough.
Very tough.
We see that Rain is going for that faster, not really intending on doing any kind of huge aggression. He might at best try to see if he can drop here and there. You can see his Hellions are cutting the Zerglings as best as they can. But for now, I mean, he's really intent on just keeping his base count high and really stay on par with Zerg macro, which is proven to be a little bit tougher nowadays for Terran, especially with TLO's kind of style. He is very quick to pump out an incredible amount of Zerglings and control the map everywhere. You can see his 3rd is done in line with Terran's 3rd, so that's a good news for Rain. But pretty soon, TLO should start exploding up an economy. The big thing last week was that TLO was not able to maintain a strong drone count throughout the game. Now, hopefully he can do. What is the drone count we're looking for this time, Andre?
When you're going Zerglings, I would always say go around 80. I know that sounds very excessive, but what you want is just a constant influx of Zerglings, and then you're preparing on actually having these huge amounts of Zergling trades, Zergling Baneling trades, and then taking 10 of them, making spine crawlers all around the place, and then you're at a good number to go for something like Broodlords.
Fantastic surround by TLO to ensure that Rain can no longer trespass on his property. You can see TLO is keeping tabs on everything the dropship is doing, making sure that Rain really can't drop, at least for the meantime. Rain has it queued up at the 3rd anyways, while back at home he's finally getting a 2nd factory to really pump out a lot of Marines and tanks. And so Rain's just buying time, making sure TLO can't comfortably drone, and TLO's droning still very slightly, few at a time. Drop at the 3rd, not really that effective. Just as soon as they land, they have to be picked up. And this is very good. TLO always been very good with map awareness.
It is kind of weird that the 5th and 6th gases have not been taken yet. The 4th base is actually going to be taken before the 5th and 6th gases are taken. That's really weird. Normally we don't see that just because gas is of the utmost importance. Excuse me. This 4th gas hasn't even been taken. So wow, he's gunning it.
Yeah, he has. He's not
just for this hive tech.
Oh. Yeah, and I mean, Hive Tech is very gas intensive between Broodlords and Ultras and +3/+3 with Adrenal, but we've seen TLO rush Hive just solely for the upgrades in the past and worry about the tech switch later. For now, very content on staying low tier tech. We see that +2/+2 finally in queue for Rain, pretty delayed. Nonetheless, he does have that time with +2/+2 if he wants to try to see if he can push out. But with this far delayed upgrades, I mean, Zerg's already almost at 2-2 before, I mean, Terran can really do anything. I'm not sure if this push will be really effective from Rain.
Uh-oh. Now 2-2 is just about to finish. No, I don't think TLO should actually commit here. If 2-2 was, maybe, if he had all of his Zerglings together. But right now, I think TLO, is he going to drone up some more?
Well, he's got a huge influx of Banelings at the top, ready to assault the 3rd.
I like that.
And TLO's just trying to keep the attention at the watchtower, pretending like he wants to defend it. He's going to roll in. And we see the bunker safely nestled against the supply depots, but that's not going to protect the SCVs for very long. You see the SCVs crashing into the Banelings immediately. Rain going to take the cue to go ahead and move across the center of the map, cleans up one pack. TLO immediately recalling his units. And Rain, where are you going to decide to go first? He's going straight into the middle of the entire map, the most vulnerable part. Very risky move, but for now, Rain does have the siege mode up successfully. Will his push work? We'll find out in a second.
I don't think it will. Zerglings are starting up. The Banelings aren't actually coming with this. But the oh my god, I think it's just enough right there.
Yeah.
You didn't even need that. The upgrades are too good. 2-2 against 1-1. That's amazing. And look at that deal. It's like, oh, I had extra Banelings. Not bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
not bad.
Not bad. And he doesn't even really need anything to lock down the Marines. There weren't that many. And the best news is that TLO was able to do all of this without losing his drones and trading for SCVs with the Banelings. You can see 86 workers to 49. Any people questioning whether or not TLO is drone enough this game? The answer is yes.
Yeah, he's looking great this game. Zergling Banelings are so strong, especially if your opponents have gotten delayed factories. You really need that siege tank count up as high as possible to deal with this.
TLO is sending a lot of units straight into the packs of tanks, and TLO not trading that effectively, but he may not need to.
It's a little too confident.
Not really doing much. And you can see that was a very good trade for Rain. TLO sunk a lot of resources into that fight. Now, resources lost is pretty deceiving considering that TLO does have more bases and as a result more economy, more resources, but that was not the case a couple minutes ago. TLO actually just the one who had the advantage. So you can see Rain, if he can get a couple more of those trades, he'd be in good position, but TLO's still not going to be daunted. He's going to expand after that.
Well, the problem is Rain has no way to actually fight for positioning. Right now, this army is so tiny, and the position is so big that he either has to commit to only defense or only attacking. He can't do both at once just because there's too many areas to cover, and he can always be, attacked at some point or another, and it gives more options to TL to be cost efficient. So it's a tough position for Rain to be in, and judging by the fact that these creep tumors are clogging the 4th base, I think that TLO knows for sure it is some sort of, huge aggression off of 3 base. TLO should know. All he has to do is defend against this one push, or 1.5 push, I should say, because there's about 2 maxes left in this economy, and then he'll be able to win the game very easily.
Yeah, simply try to deny Terran from expanding very simply through a passive way of spreading creep. TLO, his creep was already almost at the 3rd, to the point where, in fact, if he tried to spread any creep, it would immediately die to the tank. You can see a huge surround attempt from TLO trying to go before the tanks are sieged. Fungals really land on just a couple of the Marines, not able to do much. And all of a sudden, Rain has a very good position as TLO was not necessarily prepared. He tried to move before the tanks were sieged, but his infestors didn't really land onto those Marines. Very good reaction time from Rain. TLO still making ultras though, and Zerglings. If he can get those out with +3 about to finish, who knows? The entire game could change. Marauders picking off the infestors. Very big plays from Rain thus far. Marines are trying to go between the 3rd and the 4th base. And it gets cleaned up immediately, but this push from Rain is looking still pretty fierce. A couple ultras are out though, and that could make the difference.
And he needs the plating, though. Oh, wow. Banelings are going to hit very nicely. Looks like a fungal growth will clean up a lot of those Marines, or at least put them very low in health. Their attacks are all over the place, but, TLO has map hacks because of these creep tumors. He sees everything. And this is going to get cleaned up very easily.
Yeah, that force was sitting there for about a minute, not really doing much. So Rain was trying to push across multiple fronts, but didn't send his units to really go for multi-pronged aggression. The Zerglings and Ultras get that tank uninhibited. There's only a few Marines left. Rain still trying to push out, but just as quickly trying to recall them, realizing the missed rally could cost him officially the game. At this point, Rain is mined out of his main, really, and really mining out of his natural, pretty much on 1.5 base income. If you look at the income tab, you can see TLO is firing on all fronts, still keeping his drone count high and spreading his creep and able to do everything else. And TLO has been playing very strong this game.
It's almost like TLO looked at last games against Gonzi. He's like, that is not me. That's not how I play.
That ain't me.
And just, practice maybe like a couple minutes, and this is what we have. I mean, this is the TLO that I know and love. and I'm sure everybody else recognizes this as well. Great creep spread still into 21 minutes of the game when normally people are, really receding the creep spread so much. TLO has just such a great handle on everything. There's not a push that can go unseen. And that's exactly where you want to be when you are playing ZVT.
TLO is trying to burrow some banelings here and there to really throw off his opponent. You see Rain scans and picks it off. The Ultras also working on the Marines. GG. Rain taps out of game number 1 as TLO takes the lead in a very convincing fashion. Well done by Dario.
Very well played. Oh. Dario looking good.
Pretty good.
Everything was covered. Now, that style was very interesting. He went delayed gases. He stayed on 3 gases for quite a long time and chose to get a 3rd and 4th base before actually teching to anything other than Zerglings. Now, that's kind of weird. It can be punished by just straight up Blue Flame Hellion play, but what he scouted, I guess, he just said he didn't have to worry about anything like that, and he proceeded on very safely. Got his Hive Tech really fast, got 3-3 going, and just maintained the upgrade lead to give him that win.
So TLO takes game number 1 on Odyssey. We'll find out what map and what plan Rain has for game number 2. We want to thank Kingston HyperX for providing SSD and memory for NASL, as well as the SSD for the Sunday Showdown. This Sunday, Naniwa versus Genius. Get your subscriber pass, not just for this night, but also for the Sunday Showdown. Guys, we'll be back after this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll find out if TLO is able to close out Rain in a 2-0 right after this message.